Okay, so today we're diving right into a mystery that literally changed the shape of the tech in our pockets. We're talking about the 3.5 millimeter audio jack. For over 100 years, this thing was the undisputed king of audio connectivity, right? It was simple, it was reliable, it was absolutely universal. And then, poof, seemingly overnight, it just vanished. Now, naturally, when something that incredibly ubiquitous just disappears, people get frustrated. I mean, we all did. But before we just point fingers, we really need to ask, was this a necessary leap in engineering, a massive corporate cash grab, or maybe a little bit of both? So we're going to crack open our devices and look at the real-world workings of this transition to understand exactly what happened on the inside to trigger such a massive shift on the outside. Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. First, death of an audio icon. Then, the battle for internal space. Third, analog out, digital in. Fourth, the billion-dollar earbud. Fifth, defects, dongles, and e-waste. And finally, number 6, the portless future. Let's jump right in. Section 1, death of an audio icon, tracing the disappearance of the 3.5 millimeter jack. Because, contrary to popular belief, Apple actually wasn't the first to pull the plug here. Check out this timeline. Early Android devices, like the 2008 HTC Dream and those ultra-thin Oppo phones, actually pioneered removing the jack years before the iPhone 7 did. I mean, the Oppo R5, which came out in 2014, was an incredibly thin 4.85 millimeters. That is literally thinner than a standard headphone socket. No way a plug was fitting in there. But while those early removals were mostly just about bragging rights for having the thinnest phone on the market, Apple's removal in 2016, that was about solving a very specific set of engineering problems. That brings us to Section 2, the battle for internal space, or smartphone real estate. Now, the absolute crucial point to understand here is that the inside of your phone, it's exactly like prime Manhattan real estate. Every single cubic millimeter is aggressively fought over. Think about it. You're comparing a 7 millimeter deep, single-story analog tube against the towering skyscrapers of modern tech. Larger batteries, advanced haptic engines for that nice haptic feedback, and those massive multi-lens camera modules. The 3.5 millimeter jack is essentially a dumb mechanical cylinder. It takes up a massive amount of volume for literally one single function. As we all started demanding phones with edge-to-edge screens, way better battery life, and professional-grade cameras, well, that single-use cylinder became an architectural nightmare. Actually, a highly specific engineering dilemma forced the issue for Apple on the iPhone 7 Plus. When the engineers added that highly sensitive new dual-camera system, they hit a wall. The circuitry that controlled the phone's display suddenly caused electromagnetic interference with those new cameras. To fix it, they had to relocate the display driver board to the bottom of the phone. The problem? That new location was directly in the path of the headphone socket. So, removing the jack wasn't just a whim, it was literally the only way to avoid interference between the cameras and the display without giving the phone this massive, ugly chin at the bottom. Section 3. Analog out, digital in. Translating the signal. To really understand the mechanical shift that followed, we have to look at how your phone actually speaks to your ears. Because it's not just about a plug, it's about translating digital data into physical sound. Here's the thing, your phone speaks digital. It stores your music as ones and zeros. But your ears hear analog sound waves. So a digital to analog converter, or DAC for short, acts as the ultimate translator in this four-step journey. Back in the old days, the DAC and the amplifier were built directly right into the phone's motherboard. The phone translated the digital file, boosted it, and sent a ready-to-listen analog wave right through that 3.5 millimeter copper wire straight to your headphones. So by removing the jack, engineers didn't get rid of the translation. They just pushed that DAC translator outside the phone. Now it lives in those tiny dongles or the wireless earbuds themselves. When you plug a modern Lightning or USB-C adapter into your phone, you aren't just plugging in a dumb piece of wire anymore. Inside that tiny little plastic connector is a microscopic, highly complex circuit board that actually contains its own DAC and amplifier. Or if you use Bluetooth, your phone just shoots the digital ones and zeros over radio waves, and then the earbuds use their own internal battery and DAC to translate it into the sound you hear. Moving on to section 4, the billion-dollar earbud, following the money. Because look, while freeing up engineering space was definitely a necessity, we've got to dive into the massive economic opportunity this created. Anytime you remove the universal port that works with everybody's old headphones, you create a very, very lucrative void. Just look at what happened next. True wireless stereo, or TWS earbuds, totally exploded. They quickly grew to dominate 68% of the entire wireless audio market. Consumers shifted almost overnight away from bulky over-ear headphones straight into these ultra-portable, wire-free devices. The idea really just spread like wildfire. And the industry has absolutely never looked back. To put that into perspective, $38.67 billion is the staggering 2024 global market value of true wireless stereo devices alone. That's billion with a B. It is an incredibly profitable ecosystem. And, it's also definitely worth noting that right when Apple launched the iPhone 7 without a headphone jack, their newly acquired Beats by Dre brand already owned nearly half of the Bluetooth headphone market. So pushing consumers toward wireless audio wasn't just a clever design choice, it unlocked an entirely new, massive revenue stream of consumable electronics. Section 5. Defects, dongles, and e-waste. The unintended consequences. But listen, this architectural revolution did not come with some serious real-world fallout. Progress, especially forced progress, often leaves a pretty big mess behind. And the transition was definitely bumpy. For example, Apple ended up facing a $35 million class action settlement over the iPhone 7's audio IC breaking. This defect, which people started calling loop disease, was actually caused by the logic board flexing inside the phone and severing the connection to the audio chip. Plus, we all traded the beautiful simplicity of a single wire for the daily, very real frustration of losing dongles, just to be able to charge our phones and listen to music at the exact same time. This quote right here really captures a major frustration for consumers. We ended up replacing a highly sustainable, decades-lasting copper wire with millions of disposable lithium-ion batteries. Think about it. True wireless earbuds are sealed with glue. They contain tiny batteries that inevitably degrade after a couple of years, making them essentially unrepairable. When the battery dies, the whole unit just goes straight into the landfill. It's creating a massive recurring electronic waste problem that our old trusty wired headphones simply did not have. Which brings us to section 6, the portless future, beyond Bluetooth. So where is all this heading as we look toward the future of mobile design? Because, spoiler alert, the headphone jack was really just the beginning. Right now, the big answer to Bluetooth's bandwidth and range limits is Wi-Fi audio. New technologies, like Qualcomm's X-Band, actually utilize micro-power Wi-Fi to maintain a high-fidelity, lossless audio connection literally anywhere in your house. It's wild. You could leave your phone in the kitchen, walk all the way up to the 3rd floor, and your earbuds will seamlessly stay connected at full audiophile level quality. This kind of robust wireless connectivity is paving the way for the ultimate industry goal. Because the death of the headphone jack was just phase 1 of an industry-wide march toward a phone with 0 openings. The next port on the chopping block? For sure, it's USB-C. Manufacturers are steadily preparing for a completely sealed portless device, one that relies entirely on MagSafe-style wireless charging and cloud-based data transfers. Now, a sealed phone does mean better waterproofing, a much more durable chassis, and a more seamless ecosystem, but it also means entirely giving up our physical connections. Which brings us to the ultimate trade-off of this technological evolution. I'll leave you with this final thought to consider the next time you plug in your earbuds, or rather the next time you're forced to wait around to charge them. As we move toward a totally portless phone, are we gaining true freedom and better engineering, or are we just subscribing to a future where every single accessory we own comes with battery anxiety?
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.